was going to be.
Thank you.
He'll
Good
look
evening,
out as
ladies and
well.
gentlemen.
That's it.
Thank you all for being here for this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, so would everybody please rise? And Councilwoman McDonough, would you lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence to remember all of the men and women who are fighting for our freedom. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Okay, once again, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all at home for watching this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Tonight's meeting is a dual meeting. We have a special voting meeting, and then we're going to go on to our work session meeting. Prior to coming out here this evening, the Town Board met at 6 p.m. in executive session.
Bless you.
With Councilman Mike Borelli, contractual. This was to discuss the Swan Cove Mahopac National Bank properties, electronic water meter contract, and Sycamore Park basketball court contracts. Councilman Schneider also discussed contractual litigation update from Town Council Greg Falchetti. So for the record, all Town Board members are present with us this evening, as is our Town Clerk, Ann Spofford, all the way down to my right. Hi, Ann. Greg Falchetti, all the way down to my left. Mary Ann Maxwell, our Comptroller, is with us tonight, as well as is Mike Simone, Town of Carmel Highway Superintendent. So on the special meeting that we have, there's 3 resolutions that we're going to be acting on. And the first resolution is setting a public hearing in the matter of the increase and improvements of facilities of Carmel Water District Number 9, additional costs. And the public hearing will be held on September 26th, 2018. The Water 9 contractual matter. These are for water mains that will be replaced in that district. So, Councilman Schneider, would you read resolution number 1, please?
Whereas pursuant to proceedings heretofore had and taken by the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, pursuant to the provisions of Section 202B of the Town Law, it has been determined to be in the public interest to provide for a certain increase and improvement of the facilities of Carmel Water District Number 9, known as the District, in the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, at a maximum estimated cost of $882,800, consisting of the reconstruction of water mains, including incidental improvements and expenses in connection therewith. Whereas a map plan and report, including an estimate of cost, has heretofore been prepared in connection therewith and is on file in the office of the town clerk of such town. And whereas in order to undertake the improvements to the aforesaid facilities as described therein, it will be necessary to expend the sum of $1,450,000, an increase of $567,200 over that previously authorized for such improvements, and an explanatory addendum to said map, plan, and report has been prepared and added thereto in connection therewith as to the increased cost. And whereas said capital projects have been determined to be a Type 2 action pursuant to the regulations of New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, promulgated pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, pursuant to 6 of the NYCRR Part 617.5C2, which, as so defined, it has been determined will not result in any negative adverse environmental impact. And whereas it is now desired to call a public hearing on the question of authorizing such increase and improvement of facilities of said Carmel Water District 9 at the revised maximum estimated cost, now therefore it is hereby ordered by the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, as follows. Section 1, a public hearing will be held at the Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue in Mahopac, New York, in said town on the 26th day of September 2018 at 7:00 p.m. prevailing time on the question of increasing and improving the facilities of the Carmel Water District Number 9 in the manner described in the preambles hereof, and to hear all persons interested in the subject thereof concerning the same, and to take such action thereon as is required or authorized by law. Section 2, Town Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause a copy of the notice of public hearing hereinafter provided to be published once in the official newspaper designated for this purpose, and also to cause a copy thereof to be posted on the signboard of the town. Such publication and posting to be made not less than 10 nor more than 20 days before the date designated for the hearing. Section 3, the notice of public hearing shall be in substantially the form attached hereto as Exhibit A and hereby made a part hereof. Section 4, this order shall take effect immediately. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, number 2, is a resolution accepting and approving donation of sick time. Susie, would you read 2, please?
Sure, resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby accepts and approves the donation of accrued sick time to employee number 2605 from the following Town of Carmel employees. There's various employees who have donated a total amount of 92 days, so I offer this resolution as pre-filed with the Town Clerk.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote?
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, the third resolution is an amended resolution establishing a standard workday and reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read number 3, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby establishes the following as standard work days for elected and appointed officials and will report the officials to New York State and local employees' retirement systems based on the timekeeping system records and their record of activity maintained and submitted by these officials to Town Clerk Ann Spofford as submitted on the attached standard workday and reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials, Form 2417-A and 2417-B, from the New York State and local retirement system. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Not here, the state. Seconded? Seconded by Councilman Borelli. Roll call vote?
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yeah, I know. Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
See, I lied on it.
I'm just laughing because Susie's name was on there. Her reporting time, which
Yeah,
probably
which
low.
is
That was from
low,
last year,
but
right?
Yeah.
I got yelled at last time, so.
Okay, so that completes the voting meeting agenda items for this evening. Are there any members of the public that would like to come up and comment on just the 3 agenda items we just voted on? Come on up at this time. Okay, there being none, I need a motion to close the special
So
voting meeting.
moved.
Second.
So moved by Councilman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to open the town board work session.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Councilman Schneider, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci and Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the special town board work session is open at this time. First item is a review of the town board minutes of August
Thank you.
22nd, 2018. Unless any town board members would like to discuss those minutes, we're going to move on. Okay, there being no discussion, item number 1 tonight on the work session is to consider a request for a waiver of a notice of requirement of Section 64 of the New York State Alcohol Beverage Control Law with respect to a liquor license for Loymar, Loimar Corp. This is also DBA Let's Have Thai. They're located up on Route 6 here, just before Lake Plaza on the right-hand side. And the cover letter is from Loymar Corporation, from the attorneys representing them. This office represents the subject applicant as required by ABC Law 110B. I, on their behalf, are notifying you of the intent to file an application for a liquor license with the New York State Liquor Authority. Pending a waiver from your municipality, a 30-day hold before said application can be filed is mandated by the State Liquor Authority. If a waiver to this hold, oh, it wasn't on. If a waiver, thanks, John. If a waiver to this hold is an option, please refer to attach sample waiver and provide same to your letterhead. Please feel free to contact this office should you have any questions regarding this notice. So attached is the waiver application. Myself and town council had an opportunity to review it, and it is complete. So the town board can act on that and authorize the 30-day waiver at next Wednesday's town board voting meetings. Are all the board members okay with that?
Yeah, I have a question I'm going to ask Greg offline, like later. Yeah.
Okay, all right, good. Any other comment on this one?
No.
Okay. All right, next one, number 2, Mike Carnazza, Building and Codes Enforcer. Consider request to authorize attendance at a training seminar November 13th through November 15th, 2018. That's in Kingston, New York. So this memo is from Mike. All board members, I need to get my training in for 2018. There is a 3-day seminar, the 13th through the 15th of November in Kingston. The cost is $350. I will drive back and forth each day. No hotel is needed. This will give me 21 hours of in-service training. Can this be added to the next agenda so I can make reservations? I'm good with this. I think our building inspector needs to always continue his credits for his certification purposes, so that's what he's doing with this training seminar, is that he's working towards his, maintaining his credits. So we all good with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, number 3, Mary Ann Maxwell, Town Controller. This is to consider budget revisions July and August 2018/4. Hey, Mary Ann.
Good evening. This is to consider the budget revisions for July and August 2018. Number 1 in the general fund is to provide for a settlement of litigation for $37,900. That's coming from the labor legal service line. Number 1A is to provide for legal services and property appraisals due to certiorari settlement cases. The certiorari legal service line is over budget, and we need to transfer money from the reserve for certiorari settlements of $20,000. Hoping that will carry us through the end of the year. Number 2 is to provide for police overtime expense from 207C revenue received in the amount of $75,483. That's going to be, it's coming from insurance money that was received, and it's going to be allocated to the police overtime line. Number 3, we're providing for a retiree payout in the highway admin department. The total payout was $172,500. $60,000 came from the comp absence reserve, and $112,100 came from the appropriated fund balance. Number 4, we're providing for the well pump replacement from an insurance claim. That is coming from an insurance claim of $4,534. Number 7, we're transferring $1,500 for Lake Patrol boat fuel, and that is coming from the regular police motor vehicle fuel line. Number 8, we're transferring $21,000 for building demo expense. This is for the buildings down at Swan Cove. It's coming from the contingency line. Number 9, we're transferring for highway department part-time staff. We're transferring $9,000. There's an employee that is out in the highway admin department, and they needed to hire a temporary staff to cover that office. And that's for $9,000. Number 11, in the general fund, we're transferring $6,100 for a retiree health insurance expense. That's in the recycling department that is run by the highway department. In the highway fund, we're transferring $10,000 to the weeds and brush fuel line. That's coming from the general repair fuel line. In Lake Cassidy Park District, we're transferring for miscellaneous expenses, including the dam classification study, a total of transfer of $10,000. In the Tea Kettle Spout Park District, we're transferring also for the dam classification study, $5,000. In Carmel Water Districts number 9 and number 12, we received insurance claims. In number 9, Water District number 9, the insurance claim was $13,416. That's covering equipment and emergency repairs. And Water District 12, the total insurance claim was $6,358. That's also covering equipment and emergency repairs. In Carmel Water District number 2, we're providing and transferring for a facility and engineering study for Water District number 2 treatment plant per the authorizing resolution. $100,000 is coming from the Water District number 2 fund balance, and $67,000 is coming from the repair reserve. Also in Water District number 2, we're transferring $25,000 for emergency repairs. In Water District number 3, we're transferring $10,000 for well pumps. In Water District number 8, we received an insurance claim from a third party for $7,677, and that is covering equipment, contractual, and emergency repair expense. Also in Water District Number 8, we're transferring for a generator per an authorizing resolution. That's $25,890.
Chris Drive.
In Water District Number 9, we're providing and transferring for emergency repairs of $12,900. $10,000 is coming from the fund balance, and $2,900 is coming from the contingency line. In Water District Number 12, we're transferring for equipment and emergency repairs a total of $15,000. $7,500 is equipment, and $7,500 is emergency repairs. Carmel Sewer Districts, number 2 and 6, we received insurance claims. In number 2, the insurance claim we received was $7,337, and in Sewer District number 6, it was $387. In the microfiltration plants, number 2, 4, and 7, I opened a new expense line to charge the contract for the microfiltration plants. So we're transferring the budget from the regular micro O&M line to the contractual line. So that's the first transfer here of $131,000. That's what the cost is of the O&M contract for 2018. To cover the difference, because that contract did go up substantially, I'm taking $30,000 from each fund's fund balance to cover the increase in that contract for 2018. So that's number 28 and 29. In Carmel Sewer District number 2, we're providing for manhole repair, $829. That's from a third-party insurance claim. Also in Carmel Sewer District number 2, we're transferring for chemicals at the microfiltration. Okay, and Carmel Sewer District number 4, we're providing and transferring for a rotating biological contractor per authorizing resolution. $25,000 is the cost of the equipment. $10,000 is coming from the appropriated fund balance, and $15,000 is coming from the contingency and repair reserve. In the Airport Park Capital Fund, we're providing for a project engineering capital expense from the approved borrowing. As of right now, I'm transferring $100,000 into that capital fund. If we need more before the end of the year, we will transfer more because the approved borrowing in the Airport Capital Fund is $22,200,000. So as of right now, I'm just transferring $100,000. If we need more, we'll transfer more before the end of the year. In the general fund and also the Highway Garage Capital Project Fund, we're providing and transferring for a capital project for the diesel fuel system upgrade, and this is coming from the capital fund balance. Mike Simoni has spoken to the board about this. Actually, I think we've been speaking to the board for the past couple years about the diesel fuel upgrade. I think it's on the agenda tonight. If the board is going to authorize this diesel fuel upgrade, then I will go ahead with this budget transfer. If not, then I will take this out of there.
Okay,
Okay?
Thanks, Mary Ann.
thank you.
Oh, sorry, that was a lot, but.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Mary Ann.
Any questions?
There was one question, Mary Ann.
Mary Ann, I'm sorry, I just have one question. It's a small amount. It's number 5. For the $100, I guess what? The transfer for financial advisor expense? What is that?
That's capital markets. That's who prepares our debt schedule. And the cost went up, I think it's $2,500 a year. I think it went up to, or it was 24, and went up to 2,500.
Okay,
Capital Advisors is our financial advisor that we use to prepare debt schedules. They prepare our O&S, our official statement. So I'm working on them now, with them now, to prepare the bond sale, the band sale. So
Okay.
that's what that is.
all right, perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any further questions or comments for Mary Ann on the budget transfers? Down here? Mike? No? Jonathan, Suzie?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, Mary Ann, go on to number 4.
Okay, number four is to consider authorizing a resolution that would allow for the acceptance of
Ann,
electricity
please.
supply bids As the board may remember, over the summer, with Putnam County, we solicited bids for electricity supply through our joint purchasing cooperative group. We received the bids, but because of the fast movement of the electricity supply market, the cooperative agencies not being able to move forward with the contracts, both bids were withdrawn. So the county is actually going out to bid today. I think they sent the bids out today, and they're expecting them to be back on October 3rd. They're asking the municipalities to pass a resolution that would authorize an acceptance of a bid as long as it did not exceed what we're currently paying, which is .073 kilowatts. So if the board is okay with, authorizing that resolution not to exceed, I think I did talk to Greg, we talked to Greg about it, and we would bid it out the county is bidding it out for 12, 24, and 36 months.
So you could pass a resolution if the board was inclined, just authorizing the acceptance of the electricity at the maximum rate of 73 cents per kilowatt hour. I'm sorry, is that right?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
and anything that or below, you could immediately enter a contract, and we would put up to a term of 36 months in the resolution. So what happens is these things change pretty quickly, and once you get the information on the bid, and by the time it goes through the process with the board getting on a work session and getting a regular voting meeting within 2 or 3 weeks or whatever the case may be, sometimes some of the bidders drop out. So this is going to allow you to enter a contract at a maximum kilowatt hour price for a maximum term, depending on how the bids come in. If they all come in over that, then, so be it.
Right.
But it gives
We
you a little more
wouldn't- yeah, we wouldn't
flexibility in
accept it if it
accepting the
came in over.
bids sooner, without having to take a risk of losing it if the number's right.
So our cost, if you do decide to authorize that, would not be higher than what we're paying now.
Right.
Yeah,
So.
all right.
And the other municipalities that are in this cooperative group is, I think, Southeast, Patterson, I think Mayapack Central School District is now joining in on the group. Maybe Brewster Village, and of course, the county.
Okay, thanks, Marion. Any further questions for Marianne on this item? Down here? Okay. Thanks, Marianne.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Okay, next we have our Carmel Highway Superintendent, Mike Simone. He's here. He's got 6 items on the agenda this evening. So the first item, number 5, consider request to authorize purchase of road salt from the New York State OGS contract number PC 67022. Mike?
Good evening, Board. Probably my least favorite contract of the year. It kind of tells me that we're going toward winter, which is, again, one of my least favorite times of the year, but we do have to authorize this. Just to give you a little history on this for the board members, I am asked to, every April, to provide the amount that I'm going to need the following year. And not knowing what the weather has been, good indication has been the last few years we've had, but the price is never determined till September. So I'm giving them an amount I need, not knowing a price I'm going to get. But we always seem to, it is probably the best price the town could ever get because we buy in such bulk throughout the state. But understand that I don't have a crystal ball. We can't tell what weather is, and we are at the mercy of a lot of vendors here. But being that what it is, it only went up a little, and I'm asking for it to be authorized, off a New York State contract.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with this, Mike. This is something that we do annually. This time of year, as you stated, we have to discuss road salt.
Yeah.
And it's something that's needed. We have to go forward with it. And I just want to mention that during the Shared Services Committee discussions, this had came up as a shared service because we're actually piggybacking off the Putnam County contract for our salt, for Morton Salt.
No. This is a New York State contract.
New York State.
It has here Putnam County.
Putnam County also gets it. They're part of the consortium. All the salt, if you want to get the best price, you become part of the OGS, because now you're talking about the whole state.
The volume.
So your volume is, and that's why they want their numbers in April, to give you an idea, so that they know, are they purchasing
Yeah.
how many hundreds of thousands of tons? And that's where your pricing comes in, on hundreds of thousands of tons. Again, at the OGS meetings, I was with you, Kenny.
Yeah.
There was talk about breaking away and doing our own, but we're only talking about 6 towns. I mean, we would probably never even hit the 50,000 ton threshold. So this is a much more advantageous contract to have, so.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense to do this. So any further questions or comments regarding the road salt?
Yeah, Mike, just a few. Last year you used something else, either with the mixture with it, was it beet or something?
Again,
It's a
this is,
pre-treater.
this is one of the tools I use.
Right.
Again, road salt is pretty much the primary use. Between 22 degrees and 32 degrees or above, you want to use rock salt. It's probably the most efficient at melting snow with the least amount. I use brine ahead of time to pre-wet the roads. And you authorized me, but I did not have the capacity. But this year, I will have the capacity. Within my budget, if we pass it this year, is the same dollar amount, but I will be adding into it beet juice, which is another additive which takes the threshold of the salt from being effective at 22 to down to effective at 0 and 5 degrees. So
Right.
it makes the salt work better at a lower temperature, at a cost, but it, again, I think it
Safety.
beats anything else we can do to, and it's environmentally, I mean, it's a natural, it's a beet juice, so.
Yep. Okay.
All right, Sue? Okay,
Yeah.
Jonathan, did you have anything for Mike on this?
No.
Mike, John? Okay. All right, next is number 6, consider request to authorize purchase of services from Putnam County Contract Highway Rehabilitation Corp. for in-place recycling. Mike?
Yeah, we do this pretty much each year. It's pretty much become a standard here. Instead of true and leveling some of the roads that we do pave, I don't do all the roads we pave, but the roads that I think are great candidates for hot-in-place recycling, this comes in, a burner unit comes out, a 3-truck train goes down the road, heats the road to a couple thousand degrees. It true and levels it, puts some emulsion in it, and I do not use tax coat or anything. I can then go over it with a lesser amount, inch or less, of a binder, of a top coat, and I get a much better job and a much truer job. So it's saving us on curb reveal, it's saving us on blacktop, and I think it's a very good product.
It
And
sure is. Did you just, they do Houston Road recently, Mike? The top end of Houston Road?
you haven't authorized it, but yes, I have.
Oh, okay. I came out, I just want to say, it came
Yeah, I
out
mean,
really nice.
yeah, this is, the contractor was in, yes. And
Yeah,
yes,
it
so
did, they did a great job. So you're going to put a 1-inch
A
top
thin,
on
a
it?
thin overlay on top of that,
Okay.
yes, yep. Yeah, I mean, again, you look at roads that have a lot of meat on them and life, and you don't do this when the roads are at the point where they're failing, so you want to catch them at a point where they're close to fail, but you can rejuvenate them at a cheaper price, and this helps do this, so.
You drive by them, it's like, oh, the heat that it throws off, yeah. All right, any questions, comments for the highway superintendent regarding this item? John, Suzie? Okay. All right, next, number 7, request to authorize purchase of bulk diesel fuel from New York State OGS contract, PC 68208, Global Montello Group Corporation. Mike?
Yeah, again, it seems that New York State likes to bid this stuff come September 1st, looking at their winter months. This is a contract that's been awarded throughout the state. It has changed for us this year. It's good to do this early so that we can contact the supplier and make sure that we get our deliveries on time in the winter months, and that we also, with this New York State contract, it includes some blends, because we do cut our diesel fuel with kerosene and other things so that it does not gel up in the wintertime, so. Again, it's a New York State contract, it's the best price we can get, and as they
Yep.
do it every September, so,
Makes sense.
yep.
Yep. Any questions, comments, concerns regarding this item for the highway superintendent?
No.
Down this way? No?
No.
Mike, John? Okay. All right, good. Moving on. Next is number 8, consider request to authorize release of capital funds for the diesel fueling system upgrade.
Yes, and as you have heard from our controller, Mary Ann Maxwell, this is something that's been going on for 3 years. We have been working at trying to get this done. I've done extensive research into this. I've interviewed the only 2 vendors that I could find out in the area, and I've only had one respond. And I will tell you that speaking with the council people today, I did reach out even further and find out that the one other vendor that we were working with is now no longer in business. So maybe that's the reason why they never responded to me. So that, just to know going forward, I'm going to call this a sole source because I am in dire need for this. We are, right now, we have 4,000 gallons of capacity. If I go through a storm, I probably burn 2,500 gallons. So if I have back-to-back storms right now, I can't, I'm going to have to be looking for fuel. I'm going to run out. Not only is the capacity a problem, but understand the computer system that reads our vehicles and our man so that we can track our fuel is antiquated at best, and I can never repair it because there are no more parts for it. It was bought in 1998, and at this point, if it fails, we are down to hand pump systems, which, again, I don't think any of us want to have because there's no way of keeping track of that. So, again, I'm looking at it as a single source. I'm looking at it getting this done. This vendor can deliver the product and have it in place by November. So I would like to move on this as quickly as possible so that we can get this done. One of the other things I want to state that we're looking at putting a 6,000-gallon tank here in the Mahopac yard, taking the 4,000-gallon tank here, putting it up to our Carmel yard, which services 6 trucks, and hooking it up there. Everything done through computer and phone lines so that we now have the capacity of 10,000 gallons, which will certainly get me through 2 storms, maybe 3 storms. So I don't have to worry about, again, as good as this OGS contract is, they still got to deliver it in the middle of a snowstorm. And if they can't get their trucks rolling, I don't get fuel. So it becomes a nightmare come wintertime. So I'm asking for the board to move on this, and as I said, sole source, and this is a good vendor, and I have belief in them, and
Mary Ann,
the numbers can prove it out, so.
this was the last 2 items on,
Yes.
on your transfer, on the budget transfers? Okay. Yep, yep.
I can't believe you were working on 4,000 gallons.
Greg, you don't see any issue with single source on this, being that he's gone through the legwork. We found out what happened with the other company that we're looking at getting a bid from. Do you see any concerns?
Not with all these trucks.
I would recommend that the board make that finding in the resolution approving the expenditure, that the highway superintendent's done his due diligence over the course of an extended period of time, and the determination is that the services and the products and the project that you need to have done is only available from a single source.
Sounds
Okay?
good.
So it should be within the resolution if you're going to make that determination.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
It's in the resolution, I'm okay.
yeah, so if it's, yeah, put that in the resolution, Greg.
I would write it that way
Yeah,
for the
that'll-
board's consideration.
Because we're in September now, and this has to get done, before the cold weather and the snow and ice arrive.
Yeah, again,
Mike, if
I
it
hate to
fails-
say dire, but this system, at best, again, the accounting part of it, keeping track of our fuels, having fuel on site is very important in the winter times, and the most important in the winter times. And we're at the point where we need to do this, so.
Got to do it, got to do it.
Okay. All right, so, we're all good with it now? All right.
Yes.
All right. Greg, you'll take care of the reso?
I will.
All right, thank you. All right, next item, Mike, is to consider request to authorize purchase of 25-ton trailer with options for $36,343.
Yes. I will tell you that this is, again, and I hate to say this, and I usually don't do this, but this is a dire emergency also. We're in the midst of a building season right now, and I've always had 2 trailers. Enclosed in your packet is pictures of the trailer that in July, literally, the shackles that hold on the wheels rotted off. Now, this is a 1995 20-ton trailer. I have to move around my excavator, my backhoes, my pipe, my catch basins, so it's an intricate part. I put out 5 crews a day doing some sort of work, and I need to have 2 trailers to move equipment around. So I am asking this under an emergency purchase. I have looked into and gotten requests for bids, or not, or requests from other vendors, and I only have 1 vendor who has it in stock. And that's why I'm asking to pass for this vendor as an emergency basis for me to pick up this trailer.
And he's the lowest bidder, or the lowest quoter.
He's the lowest quote, right.
Again, no brainer, I can't believe. We allowed the trailers to go the way we used to allow the trucks to go. When you look for the new truck every couple of years, you gotta look at the backup equipment at the same time.
Yes.
Because you get stuck with 1 trailer.
Well, I will tell you, I did have this on my capital plan for this year. Unfortunately, this thing failed faster than I could bid it. And that's why, and again, we only use these trailers for 6 months during the building season.
Yeah, but you gotta have a backup.
But I gotta have it, because I'm putting out crews every day, and I am right now shuffling crews to figure out what jobs I can do, where I can afford to have a trailer, have a basin, have an excavator, have a backhoe. It's gotten to be a challenge at best, so.
Mike, my thought on this, you need this second trailer, because 1 trailer's moving equipment, pipe, structures, catch basins, and things like that. You know, if they have to run up to pick up additional pipe or other, concrete structures, you're gonna have to unload that trailer. So there's time involved. It's time consuming. So you're gonna have laborers sitting around, potentially guys that are waiting for material to come down from wherever your supply yard is, bring it to the location where you're working. So it makes sense to have 2 trailers. 1 for equipment and the other for supplies and things like that. So I have no problem with this.
Thank you.
And Greg, can we put it on the resolution also that it's an emergency?
I would recite the circumstances that lead to the awarding of the vendor contract being an emergency that affects public property, which is part of the determination under the GML anyway.
Okay, thank you.
So Greg, for an emergency declaration, because it's public property, he went out, he got the bids, we're all covered, we're good to go with GML?
Yeah, Mike did his due diligence in getting additional quotes from other vendors, but the emergency itself, if it in fact is an unforeseen circumstance or condition that affects public buildings or public property, it's an emergency whether you have 1 vendor who's willing to sell you the product or you have 30, okay? It's the question of whether you go through the actual bidding process. That's what exempts you. So it's good that it's the lowest of the proposing entities, but the emergency declaration is going to be written that way for you to do that. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, all right, last item, Mike, number 10, this is consider request to authorize donation and approval of sick time. So, you want to read this memo, Mike, or you just want to go over it, the memo?
Yeah, well, again, it's one of my employees who unfortunately got hurt outside of the town offices, and not offices, but outside of work. And we have other employees that would like to help with this employee's sick time so that they can mend themselves and get back to work without losing any time, so.
That's a nice, well, it's not a good story that he got hurt, but it's a nice story to hear. Twice tonight,
They're donating time.
we've had people, employees donate time to fellow employees. That's great.
And I totally agree, and we've done, actually, employees have done this in the past, but do we, I thought after labor attorney, Mary Ann, correct me if I'm wrong, after labor attorney weighed in, I'm going to say 2 months ago or 3 months ago, on a separate matter, I thought we were only looking at sick time to donate, not vacation time. So, and that came, so, I mean, I don't think we put out a memo to everyone, but, you know, before we vote on this, could we maybe go back to this, who wants to donate it, and just, you know, can we switch it to, and we just had one with the police that they're donating all sick, so.
My understanding is he's giving up his vacation time. I am not aware of this contract,
It's
listen,
not contractual.
If it's
it's not
benefit
gonna
time
be-
and you want to, in my mind, if it's benefit time, and I as an employee want to give up my benefit time to someone else, it doesn't matter what it's made of, it's benefit time to them. They're owed that time. I would think if they want to give it up, they should be able to give it
Mayor-
up. Again, I'm
Marion?
not a labor attorney, I don't know where you're coming from, but I certainly would think that vacation sick or whichever, so.
Yeah, Mary Ann, do you want to, I mean, this, I don't know if this should be brought out here, but I know that there was a reason why it was only, we only allowed this sick time.
I think it was like Mary Ann's saying, it was a cost issue, and that sick time at the end, if you accrue sick time, it costs the town and the taxpayers more at the end of an employee. So if they're gonna donate time, and especially if they're gonna donate time because a fellow employee is out sick, then keep it sick to sick. And also, you know, it's good for everyone, that it's good for the employee doing a good deed for another employee, fellow worker, but then also to the taxpayers, it's a smaller cost, at least, again, that's what, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going off of memory of the email that labor attorney sent us.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at that email also, but I know with this particular case, there's two unions involved here. This is an IBT right?
Yes,
An employee donating to a CSEA, it's to Christine in their office, and, you know.
And to keep in mind, at least the way I've run the IBT shop for 23 years, is that use it or lose it on vacation.
Right, so he would lose.
Meaning, if he gives this away, he has no more vacation. But if he doesn't use it by the end of the year, you're not paying for it, it's gone. So to me, again, I'm not a labor attorney, but
Yeah, right.
And now, is that, I was not part of the, I voted for it, but I was not part, is that the way the IBT contract actually is written also, like, the vacation is use it or lose it? I don't remember.
Past practice, I'm telling you, that's the way it's been run.
Okay, no, if
You know,
that's the
I'm-
case, then that's the case,
So he
again,
would
I'm not
lose
versed on
those.
everything.
Yeah, he would lose those days.
Okay.
The other thing is the salaries, obviously, of the IBT employees is higher, so if he's donating, I don't know what it is, 5 days, that would calculate you more days because of the salary of the other employee is lower.
Got it.
So it would be probably, I don't know, 5 days, so maybe she would get 8.
Okay.
You know, I mean,
Guys,
you know,
I'm not
we'll
against
work
it.
on, we'll work on those logistics, but
Yeah, I'm not against this, I think it's wonderful, I'm just, to keep consistency, because we've talked to a couple other people, and again, the police were just asked to do 6, so that's all I'm saying, is because if we do this, which I think it's wonderful, I don't want then other employees and unions coming and saying, hey, wait a minute, labor attorney just said sick time, now why are you letting this case be
No,
vacation? That's
yeah.
all, I'm trying to keep it fair amongst everyone, because next week I don't want to have a letter saying, you told us sick, but then you just let IBT and CSEA do vacation.
Why
That's
don't
my
we-
only concern.
Why don't we send it to the attorney we sent the other ones to, and find out? Okay,
Well, I think they're gonna just reiterate their first email, so I think we have to make that call. So,
And I think that was the PVA contract. I think it was specific to the contract because the vacation days are calculated different than sick days,
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
like I say, I'm not against this.
Yeah, no,
just-
I
my
agree,
concern
I
is
agree to keep it
consistency, that's
consistent.
all.
I think it's because if you're now donating vacation time, then you're opening up another, I don't know what you wanna, but it's up to the board, you know?
Okay.
I mean,
You speak to them.
as far as the cost, we can look into it, but I don't know if it would be, I think the cost of a vacation time as far as an IBT employee is the same as the cost of a sick day. But We can look into it.
Said they can guarantee it.
Okay.
All right, we'll look into it. Thanks, Mary Ann.
Legal will tell them to get back to us.
Okay, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 are Rich Franzetti, Town Engineer.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Rich. This first one is consider request to attend the Southeast New York Stormwater Conference, October 17th, 2018, at the Duchess Manor for $135. Did I cover it?
You essentially covered it for me, so I'm asking, this is something I've attended for the past couple of years. It takes a one-day seminar on October 17th, and it's $135. We do have the budget in the engineering department budget to fund this.
What's the 17th? There's something else on the 17th, right? All right, any questions, comments, concerns about the engineer attending this conference? He's attended it in the past, as he stated. $135 is in his budget. Office is covered that day, Rich?
I'll make sure of it.
Make sure it's covered, okay? Yeah, I have no problems with this. John, good? Susie?
Good.
Mike?
Good.
John, okay. All right, next one, 12, consider request to accept proposal for the renewal of maintenance services, Lake Cassie Park District.
So as the board may recall, in 2015, the engineering department solicited proposals for maintenance at Lake Cassie. It identified the contract would be effective for 2 years, 2016 to 2017, with the town of Carmel having the unilateral option to renew it for up to 2 more years or any portion thereof, 2018 and 2019. Terrence Kelly at that time, and still is, the lowest responsible proposer. I provided the board a copy of the memorandum where we originally recommended him. The cost for the Lake Cassie maintenance for 2019, as identified in that proposal, is $13,000. He has performed to the satisfaction of both the Lake Cassie Advisory Board and the Engineering Department. I did contact Mr. Kelly and to ascertain if he was still interested, and he is, for services in 2019. All correspondences for those contacts are provided. We would recommend that the contract be renewed. The cost for this service is already included in the 2019 budget. The board should know that this will go out for proposal next year again.
Just to weigh in.
Okay, and I concur with the engineer. Mr. Kelly's doing an excellent job, and the feedback that I've gotten from some of the board members in Lake Cassie Clubhouse is just that. He's doing a great job, and they would agree that they'd like to continue with Mr. Kelly as their maintenance individual for the Cassie Park District. Any questions, comments about this?
No.
About renewing Mr. Kelly by the Lake Cassie Park District? It's really their call. It's their, they can recommend yes or no, but it's their funds that come out of the Park District, so they're in agreement that he should be extended or renewed. Okay, next item on the agenda, Rich, what are we at? 13? Consider request to authorize payment of repairs and services for various Town of Carmel Water and Sewer Districts, Carmel Sewer District 2 and 6, and Carmel Water Districts 3 and 12.
So as Supervisor mentioned, it's a request for payment of repair invoices. They are over the town's procurement policy thresholds. I'll provide a brief summary of the work that was performed. Carmel Sewer Districts 2 and 6, sewer pumping and hauling. Between May 15th and May 18th, Infomark, the operators of those 2 districts, notified the engineering department that due to storm-related power outages, the pump station in these districts needed to be manually pumped so as to avoid potential overflows. Infomark contacted Evans Septic. There is an invoice in the amount of $7,725 to perform this service. The board should note that this service has been reimbursed already by insurance. So we've paid it and got reimbursed by insurance. Carmel Water District 3, Spring Street, Clearwell, on August 13th, 2018, Infomark, the operators of Carmel Water District 3, notified the engineering department that the Clearwell pump was tripping out at least once a week. Infomark checked the amperage and found that the well was drawing a higher amperage, which is a sign that the pump is possibly going bad. Infomark contacted B&J Plumbing, and it was determined that the 7.5 horsepower pump needed to be replaced. The board should note that this well is a critical part of the water distribution, as it pumps out water into the distribution system from wells 1 and 3. There's an invoice in the amount of $6,481 for B&J to replace this pump. And then Carmel Water District 12, well pump number 1, on August 28th. Informark the operators of Carmel Water District 12. I did notify the engineering department that well pump number 1 had failed. They contacted B&J Plumbing to pull the burnt out well and replace. Attaches an invoice in the amount of $7,153.73 for B&J to perform this repair. That's all.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Any questions, comments for the town engineer regarding these payments for repairs and services to the various water districts?
No.
And sewer district?
No.
Okay, Rich, there being none, thank you. You have one more on here.
Two more.
Two more, I'm sorry. Consider request to accept a proposal for the replacement of a bearing unit for Carmel Sewer District number 4.
So the board, Informark, the operators of Carmel Sewer District 4, informed the engineering department that the bearings on the idle end of the rotating biological contactor, or RBC unit number 1 at Carmel Sewer District 4 needed to be replaced. The board should note that a similar repair was made earlier this year to unit number 2 at a cost of $17,995. They've reached out to 3 companies and due to the specialty nature of this repair, Informark was only able to obtain the attached quote for the work from Darlington, or is it Covington? I apologize. This repair needs to be performed before any further damage occurs. The quote has a price variable, which is for the bearing repair only at $16,595. Bearing repair with a shaft repair, total of $20,090, or bearing repair with shaft replacement, $26,595. Just so the board, again, is made aware, there are 3 units which need to be online to meet the ammonia nitrogen removal requirements contained in the state pollution discharge elimination permit. This unit has been taken offline for right now to prevent further damage and is currently operating on just 2 RBCs. There has been a rise in ammonia nitrogen levels, and it's anticipated that the additional biological growth in the next couple of weeks will help keep this number down. The unit needs to be repaired. This unit is approximately 20 years old, and the life expectancy on the new unit is approximately 15 years old. The lead time for the work to be completed is approximately 4 weeks from approval. It will take 2 days for the bearing repair, and if needed, another 2 weeks for the shaft repair and replacement. There are sufficient funds in the budget for this work, and the department recommends that we authorize this work to be performed at a cost not to exceed the maximum amount, which is $26,595.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns from the board on this item?
Yeah, if I have a couple minutes. Rich, can you help me understand this? The $16,600 is to replace the idle bearing of the RBC.
Correct.
The RBC life expectancy on a new one is 15 years?
Yes, because the way the unit is so the way this unit is set up, I'll explain it as best as I can in simple terms for everybody so that the public can hear, right? You have this shaft, and around that shaft is this media that weighs a lot because it has growth on it, biological growth on it, and it spins within the top. It's always half submerged, so it's always spinning and always filled with water. So you have this shaft that has this very large torque on it to turn, and you know, that's why it's a 15-year life expectancy, because these things take a beating. They're running 24/7, 365. They're never really off. So this is spinning, it's moving this massive weight and creating the treatment for this system.
So leading from that, my concern is we're going to drop upwards of $27,000 on a repair on something that it's 5 years over its life expectancy already.
Right, but we need to have it there so that we can't not live without the unit. It needs to be replaced. We're either replacing the thing in its entirety or just the bearings. Right now, we believe it's just the bearings, which are what help spin that shaft around.
Okay.
Otherwise, if the shaft got screwed up because the bearings are off, then your shaft bends and this thing won't spin at all. Right now, it's spinning, but we turned it off, so it would continue to spin.
Okay, so we should be expecting that low number then of a bearing repair.
That's what happened on the prior one. We only spent $17,995 versus, I think 22 was the limit we had on it.
Okay. And a new RBC, hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Yeah, definitely. I have no idea what that would cost, but I can't imagine. It's not going to be $20,000. You already have the unit in there. It would be putting in a whole new system.
Right, right. My big concern would just be putting 27,000 in now, and then in 2 years, it's, hey, we're already 7 years past the life expectancy, this thing blew up on us, now we gotta spend the hundreds of thousands of dollars on it. I just don't know what the cost is to replace it as opposed to just repairing the bearing. And if we're already 30% past the life expectancy of it, I hate to throw good money at something that might not be a good product anymore.
Yeah, this'll last another 20 years when it's reinstalled. If the bearings
so
are
this
fixed, it'll
bearing will
last
add
another
on all
20.
that life.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That's what that meant to be read as.
Okay, thank you.
We did this last year too.
We just did it in the beginning of January at 4, and there's a third unit there right now that seems to be functioning okay. When the company comes in to look at this one, they're gonna look at that third unit and just give us an assessment on it.
Okay,
So hopefully we don't have to spend again, but
right. Okay.
Thanks, Rich.
anytime.
All right. Okay, thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
All right, yep, you have one more here, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, and that is
Former Water District 2, no-cost contract extension
change
request.
order, right?
I know,
Carmel Water 2, C246, no charge. All right. Go ahead.
So the board is aware the reference project was awarded to Legacy Supply, contracts were signed, and a notice to proceed was issued by the engineering department on February 22nd, 2018. Due to winter weather emergencies and permitting delays by both the New York City DEP and the New York State DOT, it is recommended that the date for substantial completion be changed to January 3rd, 2019. This delay was not caused by the contractor. John Fulchetti, our JRFA Associates, provided a very detailed explanation in his attachment to the board. In order to assure the appropriate time for the contractor to complete the project, we recommend the board authorize the no-cost work change order with the proposed completion date would be on or before January 3rd, 2019. There are 3 copies, and we recommend that the board approve this change order.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Rich. And, well, the good part about it, it's a no-cost contract extension.
Yeah, I circled that.
Yeah, because I know if it was a change order, you wouldn't be supporting.
Yeah,
no. Yeah, so it's no cost. I don't have a problem with it because it is no cost. You're just extending, giving them some more time to complete the project because of the issues with the DEP and I believe the DOT regarding 301, Rich?
So just to provide a little more information to the board, this is related to 301 and the land use permit that the DEP originally had the drawings for. They sat on them for a while, and then when they finally reviewed them, they said, no, we don't want you to do it this way. We want you to move the lines and et cetera, et cetera. And they really helped delay the project on that end. And the DOT won't issue their permit until after the DEP provides their land use permit. So we kind of threw the DOT under the bus on this one, but on the grand scheme of things, it was the DEP who, with their land use permit, slowed this process down, or the lack of providing a land use permit for the original design.
So, Rich, to your knowledge, everything's in place now to proceed? The contract to
We're
proceed
waiting,
now?
the DOT, I think, the last I heard from Rock was he had taken vacation, and he was catching up after his vacation to get all his permits out, but he knows that he's gonna issue this permit and get it done as soon as possible. So the answer is no, they're not all in place yet, but the acknowledgement from the DOT is that it will be there. DEP has given us theirs.
Okay.
You've signed some of the documents for it already, and I think we're paying the land use fee for it.
Good. All righty. Thanks, Rich. Okay, so let's move on to the next item on the agenda. As soon as I find the agenda, what'd you do with it, John?
You want mine?
Oh, okay, 16, Dennis Marisak, Property Compliance Officer. Consider request to add part-time service credit to longevity time. And you have a memo board in your backup.
How much is this?
Per the attached, I'm requesting the part-time status service credit be combined with my full-time service credit for vacation longevity purposes. My total service to date is 6.17 years, which would change my vacation bank to 4 weeks and my longevity payment to $2,100. Please review at your earliest convenience. And if you turn it over, his letter over, there's a chart on here that the conversions were done by, I guess, him. Mary Ann, did Dennis provide this conversion chart? Eileen did? Okay, all right. All right, so does everybody understand what Dennis is looking for? So he had been employed here. for years as a full-time employee, then he went to part-time status. So he'd like to convert 2.50 years to his total service credit, which would bring him to the 6.17, and then he gets this. Yeah, we did, right?
No, we didn't talk about this.
All right. Okay. Oh, in budget, yeah. Okay. Right, right. Okay, hey, Mary Ann, has this been done in the past, to your knowledge? It has, yeah, and I think... Yeah, thank you.
Yes, it has been done in the past, and I think a resolution has been passed changing the start date, the full-time start date. That's what the previous resolutions have read. So like you say, if he started full-time, officially full-time, say, last month, the buying back the part-time hours would change his start date to, say, 4 years ago or something like that. So, Greg, do you recall previous resolutions? I mean, I know.
I think we did it for Rich.
I think we did it for Rich and Donna, because,
Correct, and
Yep.
Donna Stevens.
I think Antoinette Pesavente, we did it for.
I think, that I know that we've done it in terms of the effective date becoming a date prior, so that they get, a part-time employee gets credit for that within the system, for longevity's purposes, if they're a CBA member.
I don't think that the longevity payment has to be in the resolution, but I think the start date has.
Right, and that'll be the calculation.
From what I recall, the
My
start
inclination
date
is
should be in the
just send it to
resolution.
Jackson Lewis for their once over, and then you can act on it if you want.
Yeah, okay. All right, good, we'll do that. We're going to send it to Jackson Lewis for their input and approval from them. Okay. All right, thanks, Mary Ann. Okay, the last item on the agenda, 17, the Lake Cassee Park District Advisory Board consider request to authorize distribution of the 2018 fall newsletter, which you guys have in your backup. And it's nicely done, as always, with Lake Cassee. Provides really good community information on the back of it, lists the events, the dates, the times, additional information, talks about community tag sale, kids' Halloween party, and trick or treat. It says trunk or treat, maybe it is trunk or treat. It is trunk or treat?
I think they go into
Oh,
the
they go
trunks
in the
of the
parking lot?
cars in the parking lot.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cute.
All right, really cute. Halloween party, adults only, Words on Wood, breakfast with Santa, New Year's Eve party. Yeah, so there's a lot of nice things that they do over there for their district. So, the community meeting is Thursday, August 4th, 7:30 PM. Please join us for this important meeting to discuss the closing of the beach as per the Department of Health. This talks about water quality and the events, updates, save the date, volunteer info, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody good with the newsletter?
Yes, just read it.
Okay, all right. All right, so that completes the agenda items for this evening's town board. It was 17 items, so thank you for being patient. We had a lot to cover tonight.
Absolutely.
Would anybody like to come up now during the public comment portion of the agenda items only that we just covered?
No.
So if anybody wants to discuss 1 through 17 with the board, come on up at this time.
Nothing's automatic.
And it's for 3-minute comment. Okay, there being none on that, is there anybody here for new business, which is the open forum portion of the meeting? If you're a town resident, a taxpayer, or a business owner, you can come up and speak with the board regarding any town-related issues. And this is also for 3-minute comment.
The fighting over here, let's talk first.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Jean Hopper, Mahopac. I was at last week's meeting when they were talking about the water district, and it was an important meeting to the people in the area, so I didn't want to bother, but I have a question about that meeting. They talked about surveys that are done, you mentioned something kept upstairs or whatever, different surveys. Why were those surveys requested at that time? Were they used for a project, or they were just done and kept, or how does that work when surveys are done, and why?
They were anticipating doing this.
This project,
I
a
shouldn't
larger
smile
project.
about it.
Right.
But they were anticipating doing this several years ago.
Right. I know that
10,
the engineer was here,
10 or
and
12
you mentioned his father that had worked for the town. It sounded like it had been done many, many years ago.
No, that
Yeah,
wasn't.
no, it wasn't, that, and they clarified that.
Well, it was a partial or...
the
s-
father-
It wasn't a
another- it was a
complete
whole nother
survey of the
project.
entire district. It was
Okay,
piecemeal
so
from different projects that
an
may have been
incomplete
throughout the
survey.
years. And that's an issue that we have with every one of our districts right now, is we don't have anything that's not only a complete survey, we don't have complete mapping, we don't have complete inventory, we don't have date placed in service, we don't have life expectancy, we don't have expected replacement cost.
So the survey that was done, however many years that was incomplete at that time?
No, different surveys for different projects. So the project may have been for an extension. They had the survey for what they needed, let's say, instead of 3,500 feet, 600 feet. Hey, that's my project, here's my survey. Another project 3 years later down the road has 500 feet. Here's another survey. Another project from 45 years ago has a couple drawings on a napkin that was 1,500 feet. It's all piecemealed, and it's all different times, and it's all different surveys, it's all different stamps, it's all different scales.
we
So again,
couldn't-
those surveys that were done were used for projects?
Yes,
Who's saying yes?
Rich, the
Rich-
engineer.
Rich is saying yes.
So all those old surveys, we don't just do surveys willy-nilly. That's what I'm getting at here.
Oh, no, people
Okay.
just don't do, I mean, it could be possible,
Yeah,
correct
they
me
were
if I'm
used for
wrong.
project at that specific time, the surveys were collected.
Okay.
So, and that's specific to your question with regards to Water District 9, those surveys were done, and portions of Water District 9 were completed, but not the entire Water District 9, nor was the entire survey done for Water District 9 that included everything that was necessary for the last piece of this puzzle of Water District 9.
Okay, you had a woman that came up who was very upset, in tears. She was very emotional. It got to me. You know, I was at home watching this. I had to leave. I had paperwork that had to be done. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to do what everybody else does. I'm going to turn you guys on. And I watched you from home. Why has this project taken so long? I mean, how long has this been a problem? I'm curious. It doesn't
Probably-
affect me, I'm just curious.
Probably 20-plus years.
And why has the work or something just started
People
now?
don't, the boards, prior boards have not, for one reason or
But you
another-
guys are the prior boards,
No,
correct?
There's been prior board, I'm talking
no, I
about prior
understand
boards
that.
before us.
Right.
When it was brought up, they did, for one reason or another,
Well,
didn't wanna
how
do
long
it.
has our board been in place? I'm going to ask each one of you, Mr. Schneider, how long have you been here?
I've been here for 6 years. We've had this in front of us for, I think, 17 months now. And that's from approximately the start from when it was brought to our attention.
And Susie, how long
Yeah,
have you been?
9, I'm on my 9.
9 years?
Yep.
Ken?
And it was brought
How
way
many
back.
years?
How many years?
Have you been?
Oh, 11 years.
11?
Can't tell you how old I am.
That long you've been on the board, that long?
No.
I know you haven't.
Like Councilman Schneider, I've been here 6 years.
6
And
years.
to my knowledge, I'm aware of it in front of us, odds and ends, about 5. But when I was running and I was sitting out there, I remember Councilman Ravallo, who lived in that district, I think he moved away, they were talking about doing that for at least 10 to 12 years while he was on the board. And then he came back after the election, like a year or so later, and that's when it started back up again.
And Mr. Barilli? How long?
Too long,
You haven't been here a year yet, have you? A year? 1 year? Not even?
not even a year.
Not even a year, okay. I'm just curious, and I think everybody, has that question. Again, so what I'm going to get at is you're saying this project should have been 20 years, but it hasn't been done for 6 or 9 or
Yeah,
11?
Just like the infrastructure in the town of Carmel, which is part of this, in Water 9, has been
Part of it has been
neglected for 50 years. And fortunately, this board is being proactive with it. We're not being like some prior boards who say, you know what, we're not going to get
I
reelected.
have to
if we do it."
interrupt. You just told me you've been here for 9
9
years.
years,
9 years.
yeah. It
You
takes.
know where I'm
it-
going to go with this, guys.
it-
9 years, please don't tell me it was a prior board, it was you. So
it-
we
We're
listen,
getting it done, you're right, it
people are
is
up
us,
here,
'cause we're getting it
taxpayers.
done.
You're elected officials. You chose this job. I know it's not easy. I admire and thank each one of you. I don't know if I could do it. Maybe I could. I think about it. But to sit here and
You
please
could do it.
don't insult people by saying that this prior boards. You are the prior board, because you've been here for
And-
9,
and
6,
we're getting-
11, however
Right, and
long.
we are getting it done. We've got a lot
Let's make sure
done.
that we do, because we've given it
got
enough
a
lip
lot
service for
done.
too long. And again, it doesn't affect me. My
It
water's
doesn't?
just fine and dandy. But when people are up here in tears and saying that they have to move boulders and you can't really tell if it's groundwater, why not? Why can't we tell what this is? Why can't we?
Yeah.
Someone should tell that woman, that taxpayer's paying your salaries.
Yeah, I believe,
What the
Rich,
answer
I
is.
believe-
She deserves
I
that.
believe the engineer did go out there. Rich, you can come up and talk about that.
Yeah, I will say I had
You know what,
a
I'm gonna, you don't even,
situation-
I heard you yell last week, and I don't need to hear that again. I'm putting it back on you guys,
I had a
okay?
situation with the taxpayer 3 years ago at Colonel Glenn Terrace, I think it is, over in the hamlet of Carmel, where they had a concern. Yeah, they had a concern, very similar concern. Spoke with the engineering department, we went out there, we took a look at it, we said, okay, let's get the water operator to come out. Water operator takes a look, does a test positive for chlorine, we know it's treated, it's coming from municipal leak.
Right.
That test was done the exact same way here in this situation, and it didn't come back as conclusive. So when it's not conclusive, you can't say it's definitely water.
Well, there's got to be other tests besides just testing the water itself. There's got to be either survey or someone from DEP, or, I mean, I'm not an expert, but there's got to be a way to find out where that water is coming from, besides just testing the water.
Rich,
Okay,
can
so,
you tell me,
I mean-
do you know how many leaks we've had in our water systems over, we'll just say the past 5 years? I mean, I will tell you it's astronomical. When I met in regards to Water District 2 and our plant study, one of the questions was in regards to losses that came out, and the volume, sheer volume of losses that we have
Right.
that go undetected for years is astonishing.
And damaging.
Absolutely.
How damaging water is.
Yeah,
And if it's your home,
yep.
you'd be
One of the most
upset.
damaging forces.
Right,
Or
So
or
let's
our
not sit
roads,
around
our sidewalks,
for years
our
and years.
curbs.
This needs to be addressed.
Mrs.
And should
Har-
have been,
Mrs.
should
Harper?
have been addressed.
Mrs. Hopper, I've been here 6 years. I'm telling you, it's been in front of me for 5. I will agree with your assessment or your statement. It's wrong for me that I did not act on it sooner, because I can remember after I got aware of it from former Councilman Ravallo, I spoke to 2 friends. I have more than 2 friends, but 2 dear friends that live in that neighborhood, and
Right.
we were pumping gas. And he's like, hey, is it finally going to get done? I saw it on TV, and I said yes. And that was 5 years ago. So you're right. I'm going to look in the mirror, and I'm going to take ownership of myself. Within the last 5 years, it should have been done sooner.
I'm sure the people there
that-
really
that's-
thank you for
That's
that.
the time that I'm responsible for 5 years. So I will
I'm
agree
sure
with
those
you.
people who are living with this, thank
But-
you for
but-
that,
but
for that
doesn't help
honesty.
That doesn't help
and
them, but
culpability.
you're right.
No,
gotta-
it doesn't, but
I'm gonna
I
own my own
appreciate that.
action.
Thank you.
So.
That's integrity right there. Thank you. Something we like to see. There was a problem you talked about last time about emails. Oh, I didn't see an email. I didn't hear the email. I emailed the request. Do you guys not CC yourselves, each other, when you get an email? When it's town business? So if you're requesting from Bob
Everybody's copied.
information, he just sends it back to you, and you hold on to it? Is it not CC'd back to the entire board?
Fortunately,
problem-
not all of us are CC'd on all of the correspondence. So
Okay.
communication does have to get better, yes.
Yeah, because that's unfortunate that would happen. I don't think.
Yeah,
And I want to tell you, not only are we copied, we're copied on 2 or 3 different emails, which drives me crazy.
Yeah, you should have an official email and
I had to
yeah.
give my email
We don't want to get in the email trouble, guys, you
and the
know?
town email I
Official
have.
email.
It's happening these days.
That's
Now
right.
I'm getting it on my private email. I'm getting copied 3 times on everything, which I personally think is insane.
But at least you know everything then. I hope you're reading it, Mike. Okay.
Yes, but 3 times.
Um,
Everybody is getting copied.
Let's talk,
Multiple
well,
times.
well, not on everything. She's asking, does everybody
Everybody-
get email,
A-
copy?
Ann says everybody has at least 2 emails on file.
No, everyone does have it, but what I'm saying is I mean, I'm not going to bring up all my emails.
no, I know, but the
there's-
example that you emailed somebody for information, they email you back. So you have the information, but there are 4 other
Correct.
people who
It
do
sh-
not.
Right, it should be shared to all 5.
I
like,
mean, in this day and
yes.
age, you should all
Yes.
be getting CC'd on everything. I don't know.
I don't know about CC'd on everything,
Not
because we do have
everything, but
liaisons
anything
for all of-
official for the town. Why wouldn't you want to know what Mike talked about to a town person? I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you can have your own private emails, But to me, if
Right.
it's something that you've requested that the board wanted, and the person
Share it with
emailing
everyone
you,
so
then
we
how
all
come
know.
nobody else seemed to know? I just
That's-
think that seems like a simple solution, I don't know. Our poor American Legion Hall, they have restrooms yet?
They do not.
Why not?
No, they do not.
Why not?
There was
Private owners, legal matters.
two private owners. It's, I don't know where it is. Do you know what the status of it is, Greg?
Nope,
at this
I don't.
point?
Last we heard was
Totally in his attorney's hands. He's willing to do it. His attorney was away. He was supposed to get in touch with Greg. That's what the owner of the property told me, that he has no problem doing it. He doesn't understand why it's not done. It's in his attorney's hands. I'm going to call him again before the weekend and say, look, obviously somebody needs a new attorney.
You know, I don't know where this should
I've
end. I mean,
called-
this
This
seems
has
like
been
a
going
downward
on.
spiral.
I've
and-
called the attorney representing the other property owner multiple times. Doesn't call back. He can't possibly be even on vacation for 2.5 months.
Well, we talked about this happening in July
gonna
before
say
their
this
pig
is
roast, and
something-
all of a sudden,
Yeah.
now it's 2 months later again, and we're still,
This is
Yeah.
like what you were saying before, it takes
This is the
so
same song 3 years
long.
later from the
Yeah,
same owner.
3 years later. It's,
then
yeah.
can't we pursue this? I mean, is it a problem because of, you had mentioned that the deed to the properties or whatever was so old and all this kind of stuff, and didn't say,
The issue was.
he didn't know the line was under him, or?
The issue's with an easement. The highway department needs an easement because it's not our property. We don't own it. We do have
No, I understand that.
pipe running through it, so we need the two property owners. In this case, one property owner needs to sign off
Who
on
want
it.
the property with a line underneath? I mean, and that you're saying, well, it wasn't on his tax paper or his property paper at that time. Can't the town step in and say, well, you know what, we're correcting that now. We know the line is under your property, we're going to stick that in there. We make variances and waivers and all kinds of exceptions. I think it's terrific for donating sick time and length of service from part to full. Can't we fix this? Can't we somehow come to something?
tried.
I would
Oh,
love to.
I think we could through eminent domain, right? That would be the only
I would
fix.
love to.
I just got from our attorney that the other attorney was out sick for
Eminent
almost a
domain.
month this summer, and he's catching up now.
So no, it's a private matter between those two parties. We can do what we need to do for the purposes of facilitating the drainage that highway needs over that property. But the private connection, the service line from the main on Route 6 to that private owner is a private matter, and we can't get involved in it. If they are willing to agree upon the terms of an easement, they can put it in our trench. That's basically what we're doing, okay? And that's going to be, I would say, fortunate and convenient for them if they're able to come to an agreement. But we've assisted with the
Greg,
agreement,
can-
you
No,
know,
I
in terms of
know-
its,
I know
in
you
terms of its
have, I
language.
know.
And there's not a lot more that can be done
Greg,
until
can you-
somebody else moves off the box.
Do an eminent domain like Jonathan said?
But you can do the eminent domain for the drainage, but you can't do the eminent domain to provide a private line to a private user.
But here's the workaround, and I think that this is where I needed a little bit of assistance. If that were a sewer main up there, and here's where I'm getting at, if that were a sewer main up there, we'd be able to take it over by eminent domain, we can run it through, we could hook it up, no problem. The only thing that's preventing it from being a sewer main up there is that there hasn't been an expansion of that sewer district up along Mount Hope Road, Kennecut Hill Road? Kennecut Hill, because there's...
Bucks Hollow.
Bucks Hollow, yes, thank you, I'm sorry, because, no, Kennecut.
Connecticut is.
Kennecut, Bucks Hollow. Kennecut Hill is where I understand that there's some reported failing septics. Nothing's been confirmed. I don't believe that there's been any county health department that's been out there to confirm it. But if we have failing septics, and we're talking about, DEP says the only way we're expanding that sewer district is with failing septics, if that's a sewer main at the Legion, eminent domain, would we be able to take it over, replace it, run it up there under the guise of a sewer main for a future expansion?
Sewer mains we own. The town owns the sewer main. If it's a main, we own it. Problem is, that's not a main that would be going across the private owner's property to...
It's a lateral.
Yeah, it's lateral. So that's private.
Okay. Never, that will never happen then. But if we were to upgrade that for a future expansion in that area, we would say, let's put in a 6-inch line or whatever, 8-inch line. would it then be considered a main? Now it's no longer a lateral, now it's a main?
The main's dictated by who's connected to it.
So if we're looking at doing that replacement, or I'm sorry, if the private owner's looking at doing that replacement anyway, I'm going on a hypothetical to try to get this done and get it completed, because it has been years. We say, okay, there's gonna be a future expansion of a sewer district up in that area. So now we're gonna replace this lateral anyway, from a 4-inch up to an 8-inch. We're gonna replace this, and now it's gonna become a hookup here. Can we do it by eminent domain now?
I don't believe there's any problem with the owner. I truly believe it's a day-to-day thing right now.
No offense, but we've been doing the dance for 3 years. We had to take property by eminent domain from the same owner.
I'm so sorry,
6 years
I didn't
before
hear
that.
what you said.
Greg?
I
There's always,
truly
there is.
do not believe there's a problem anymore with the owner. I've spoken to him, okay? I know him.
Greg, if this isn't closed in 60 days, can
I'm
we do
sorry,
it by
I'm
eminent
sorry, I
domain
just
on a
wanted
water
to
main?
hear what Mike had to say. Excuse me.
I truly believe it's a day-to-day thing to get the attorneys together. And it will happen in a matter of days. I really believe that.
But this
Just
is,
to answer Jonathan,
but
I'm
this has
sorry.
been what's been said for the last 2 years, is that
It's
the
almost going on
owner-
4.
Is
Yeah.
that the owner
years with no
that we're
bathroom.
not having a problem with, he came into your office, no problem, Kenny, and then what, 2 days later? Nope, not gonna do it. And then he like, it's almost like he gives us a little bit, and then like, we're all excited, yes, we're finally gonna get it done, and then all of a sudden, nope, I'm not gonna do it.
That's just
So
sad.
in my eyes, there is a problem with the owner.
Sad. It is
It's
sad.
very
It's very sad.
My heart bleeds for them. It
Okay,
really
This is not
does.
going to help this discussion.
Right.
Jonathan's point, any taking by eminent domain has to be for a public purpose.
Right.
As that, for the drainage, of course, but for the sewer lateral, that's a private purpose. So there'd have to be much more in terms of design considerations where that particular run of pipe was to become a main. And that's not where you're at. Right now, they're
We'd have
just
to
trying to
show some
connect
clause for it, too.
one property over
Let's
another
design a
property.
pipe, guys. Can you come up with something? Get wheels
that's- I
turning
was
or
almost being
anything? Any,
facetious.
coming up
It's
with
really not-
anything for these
it's really not what
people?
I meant.
Not a thing, huh? Right.
Once this agreement gets worked out. So that, to put in a main there, no offense to Councilman Schneider, I don't think that is the best place for it, nor I think we'd be fighting great at that location. I don't think we have enough to let it run by gravity. That would not be the place where I
Right.
take eminent domain,
And go up.
put in a 6 or an 8 inch line, let alone the fact that once we get to that American Legion Hall, we have to then bore under, or bore under the beforehand, wherever the bike path is, to get an 8 inch line in there. It's
Yeah, yeah.
line there already, make it connect to a lateral, if there's ever consideration to actually move forward
list.
and make a
List for tomorrow is
expansion up there, you're gonna take it down Bucks Hollow, is that Bucks Hollow?
Then it's going up Bucks Hollow by Spain.
Down to Route 6,
Okay.
corner of Spain.
Okay.
You would do it right, and you do it right, you know, that's.
So as of now, it's on the property owners.
Right. It just,
Years.
Forever.
you just had,
Good.
yeah, they had a bathroom, they had a sewer line, and I don't understand why they just can't replace what they had, but I do understand it. Okay, I have one other question. The Mayapack Firehouse, is it a public building, a municipal building, private building?
Private building.
Privately owned. Yeah. It's owned by the membership.
Okay. Cell phones. I feel like I'm at school, I work at school, cell phones, here we go, cell phones. As I was sitting at home, that camera angle gets you guys on the desk. And a lot of cell phone usage. Last week, when you had that very heated meeting, you know, I've heard from a lot of people, I have to be honest, people come to me and they tell me things and they say things. I don't even realize the things are, because I'm here, I don't see what they see.
Right.
Cell phone use during meetings. Any way to curtail that?
A lot of
Ixnay it?
times, yeah, what I want to explain to you, I keep it here because if sometimes an email is brought up, I can refer back to it. And especially last week, there was a few things I was trying to find an email to refer back to because I didn't have it. So I'm not texting people and saying, ooh, whatever. I'm actually using my email or Google to verify certain things. That's what I'm doing. I don't know. I'm assuming that's what everybody else was doing, but
don't know.
it's not.
Last week I was using my calculator,
Yeah,
and this
the
week I got a
cal- yeah.
text from Don to say that Kenny's mic was off,
So
so I
you
got
know
up and I
what, you
checked
know
it.
what your
Actually, I
high
was
school,
using my
you know what your high
calculator
school
today.
teacher would tell you right now? Use a calculator, no cell phones, you can make the calls afterwards. And if you needed the emails, you should have printed them and brought them with you
No.
to the meeting.
Well,
And-
I would,
and-
I
and- and
would
if you-
if I
and if
listened
you-
to
if you'd like-
questions.
And if you'd like, in 12 months, you could run for office and you can come sit up here.
Yeah.
Jean,
In
I
the
would
meantime-
love to
come-
do
come-
that.
In the
come on up.
meantime-
It's very
in
easy
the
over there.
meantime,
Come on
I'm-
up.
In the
No, no, no.
meantime, I'm
Sit
just
right here.
telling you
You
what
can have
people have
this-
told me.
I know, but I
Give
want
you
to
this-
explain
Okay?
something.
I'm here.
Ms. Hopper?
I'm here.
Sometimes, but
Ms.
Jean,
Hopper?
sometimes there's
I
people
agree
up
with
here
you.
No, I
that just
understand.
come with a question. I come prepared, but if there's a question from the audience or from person that I don't have the information, I'd like to get it. If I have it in here, I'll get it for you. I was just today using my calculator on these to make sure that the numbers were right. So it's, again, I'm not talking on the phone.
Nobody's saying that you are. I'm not
Yes,
accusing
you
anybody.
are.
I
Yes,
am
you
just
are.
telling
In a
you.
way,
Yes, you are.
in a
Yes, you
way-
are.
Excuse
Please.
me.
No, no,
I am-
excuse me. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You said you should use a calculator. I am. It's called
I
a
said,
calculator.
what your high school teacher
I
would
know,
tell you.
so
That's what I
that-
said.
And that's
But I'm not
an
in high school.
indirect ploy of saying, you should do this, you should do that.
No, no,
Like,
wait,
okay,
wait,
you
I'm
know what,
just-
Kenny?
I'm
It's
making
3
a
minutes.
suggestion.
It's 3 minutes, because
Ms.
now we're
Hopper?
going
Making a
off.
suggestion
It's
that
3
people
minutes.
have come to me.
Run.
No, it's, you
Okay.
know what it is?
I can verify
It-
to the
Ms.
people out
Hopper,
there,
I
I am
haven't said
using
anything
my
yet.
cell phone.
I'll be very honest
to
with you. I was
get
waiting
info.
for someone to bring that up
All
for
the time.
5 years.
Well, you brought it up
Okay.
too.
This is, my cell phone is out here only because we don't have executive session tonight. My cell phone goes off before I leave that back room, and it doesn't go back on until I get in the car. Okay? I agree with you 110%. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Barilli.
That's
And I will
okay.
finish my thought without
And
being
keep
cut off. You'll
asking
give-
your
You'll give me
questions.
2 more minutes.
No,
What I am
Ms. Hopper, you've far exceeded the 3-minute allowance.
I understand that, but I've mentioned to you what people have
well-
told me in town as well, so I'm just passing it
And-
along to
Well-
you as
well-
well.
And I was
okay?
answering
You can
the
take it
people.
as you want, that's,
What-
I'm
what
just
is it?
saying it.
What did you want to add? What were you
That
wanted to add
I'm-
something?
I just said it.
Yeah,
That I wanted to share with you what people are coming up to me and telling me.
All right,
Well,
what
now
we're
we
do- what
can-
we're
Because
doing-
I didn't
what-
even
we can set-
realize
what
it
we're
until
doing-
they,
what- let me
they're the
just-
ones who are
Let me just say
watching.
something, Susie.
Yeah.
What we're doing, and I do it too.
I sit here
okay?
so I don't see it.
I do it too, but I'm not
Talk
texting.
to the people, 'cause it's
I'm-
not her, it's the
I'm
people.
not texting. I am doing what Susie's doing.
one's saying you're
I'm referring to
texting.
emails and such and things like that. I've used my calculator in the past as well. So we're not texting each other back and forth. I'm certainly not texting
Oh,
anybody.
no one's saying that you were.
But we're using it for a purpose. It's just not,
No, I understand.
I don't want the
I
impression
get
to
that.
be, or the
People have just
implication to
mentioned
be
that they thought it was disrespectful, that people were distracted by it, that it was,
I think what she's saying
Maybe
is it
other
doesn't
things
look
that were
good on the
happening.
camera.
I would agree with that. But
It doesn't look
but-
good. The
Right, but-
public doesn't see it that way.
I'm just mentioning it only because last week, again, we don't see it from here. I'm always here.
So
It was
now
the
they
first time I
can-
watched live from on top, and it's
Right.
showing. So
no,
that's all I'm
I
saying.
applaud you for bringing it
Thank you
up.
very much for my
'Cause
6
this way
minutes.
Thank you.
It's educated that we're using the phones to help do our jobs better for you, the people.
Thanks, Susie. Is there anyone else that would like to come up for open forum, Newbury? Mr. Pezzo? Is this about the same issue that you've been coming up in the past about, or something new?
Pardon me?
Is this the same issue that you're going to discuss tonight, that you're
Yes,
going to bring
yes.
up? Or is it something?
Oh, okay, Kenny, I'll do this, Ken.
All right.
While Mike's
Sir,
on his
hold on,
seat,
hold
I
on,
would
hold on,
like
I'm gonna
him
stop
to
you right there.
answer some
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Okay,
Just
go ahead.
talk to the board,
Okay.
make believe Mr. Simone's not in this office, in this room, and do not direct anything to him or say anything like you said last time about him, because I've come to your house twice, myself, on my own time. Once during a rainstorm, and once when it was dry. And I'm
Okay.
gonna reiterate exactly what I told you last time when we spoke privately out here.
Okay.
Your driveway is an original driveway. It's outlived its life expectancy.
Yeah.
You bought a house on a down lot in a subdivision that has no curbs or drains. The town cannot put drains in your road. There is no place to bring the water. We had this discussion out there. You're beating a dead horse. If you feel the town's responsible for your driveway, start litigation. If you'd like to speak about something else, that's fine. But I've never been rude to anybody out there because I've been out there. So all I'm telling you is what I told you privately. Do not knock Mr. Simone. He's went out there with me too looking at this. Okay, there is nothing the town can do to alleviate Lake Cassie that was built with no curbs and no drainage and all the water falls off the side. Your driveway is as old as your house, it's original. In my mind as a builder, it's never been changed. Am I right or wrong? Have you ever redid your driveway?
I did it once, yes.
How long ago?
I'm over there 31 years, 20 years ago.
About 20 years ago. It's outlived its life expectancy.
Okay. You didn't get out of the car, though.
Oh, yes, I
And
did.
look,
And
the
I walked
problem.
along the curb, and I
Yeah.
walked down the side.
Yeah, but you didn't see what the town did on my driveway. They paved above my driveway 3 times for the water not to go down. Ron DeFrancesco did it, Mike Smallman did it 2 times. So the water got underneath and
So
screwed
they've
the
tried to
driveway.
help you twice.
Yes.
You-
If
you
you come
dri-
over
but you
there, I'll
live on
show
a-
you what they
But you
did.
live on a down lot where the water is going to travel downhill to.
Well,
They built
you-
a trench on the road directing it to the side of your driveway, bringing it to the side of your driveway where it doesn't go on your driveway or in your house. When you get the torrential rains that we've had, nothing helps. Okay?
It
Nothing
happens
helps.
all the time, because you have no rights
You
to
need
go,
to re-
but
you
you
need to
please
review-
listen, you have no rights to turn the water on people's property. And that's what the town did,
The town
all
turned
right?
no water on your
You
property.
come over there and see the drainage. Do you have a
Trying to
permit
s-
for
what I'm
that? Do
trying
you
to
have
say
an
to you
easement
is-
for that?
We've gone down this. I went out there, okay? Mr. Simone's been out there.
Yeah,
The answer is, we can't do anything, and if you like to litigate, that's your only option. We're beating a dead horse here every week. If you want to stay here every week, I'll go back and forth with you, but I'm trying to tell you,
you're wrong. You're gonna have to put curtains or
Okay.
drain.
my wife tells me I'm wrong every day.
Catch base, the way you did on Cortland and what's the name of the other street? You're wrong, because I'm gonna come over your house and turn the water on your property and see if you're gonna like that. You like that? You got the counselor
I
next
didn't
to
buy
you.
a house
Ask
where
him
the-
if it's legal
where the water comes
to
down.
turn the water on people's property. Is that legal? Is that legal to turn the drainage on people's
Town
property?
Direct water to somebody's property.
Is there drainage on the road? Is there actually drainage facilities on the road?
Yeah, it goes right on my
There's
property. Is that legal?
There's a culvert
Okay. Is it
that goes in front
swale?
of his drive. It's a little culvert. It's a swale that goes in front of his front lawn, in front of his driveway,
A little one.
which helps, which no other homes on that cul-de-sac have, but he's on the low side. So obviously, years ago, the highway department created a swale for him to divert some of the water. You can't divert all the water because it's a large cul-de-sac, and the water goes downhill.
And my suggestion to you is if you're aggrieved by it, that you take you consult
But
with an
it's
attorney,
wrong.
file a notice of claim. That's what you should do,
That's
okay?
what-
Because it's been something that's been discussed on several occasions. I know that the superintendent of highways has been out to your house. I know that Councilman Borelli's been out to your house. At this
What-
point,
That's
there's
all I'm
nothing more that
saying.
the
I'm
town
not
can
trying
do.
to
If
be
you think
rude.
you have
Start
a
a-
claim, you are
do a
absolutely
notice of
entitled to
claim.
file it.
When Dave Cartman was here, he bought a question years ago, then Ron DeFrancesco. He said, we're gonna have to put eventually curtains, drain, a catch base. But they never get in. Then Mike Simone
Because
took
I'll tell
over.
you why.
Mike-
What did I say to you when I spoke to you out there in the hallway? I said to you, what do you want? He said, I want to put a catch basin there to catch all the water. I go, where do you want us to bring the water? Down in the woods.
You want
I
an
said, "How are we
easement,
gonna
you
get down
pay
in the
me, I'll
woods?"
give you an
I says,
easement.
how are we going to get down in the woods if the neighbor owns the property that leads to the woods and it's his woods?
You want an
We're in the
easement?
same situation that we're in when Ms. Hopper brought up about the other person. So would you like us to take the person, your neighbor's property, and put a drain down it?
Yeah, it goes on my property. From my neighbor, it goes on my backyard. You didn't get out of the car and look at it. It looked a mess.
Thought,
Just for the record, Mr. Pezzo, myself and Councilwoman McDonough we were out there also.
You came over there
I did,
once.
well, no, Susie was with me. She was there.
You were there?
Yes.
And you see the problem?
We saw, we
And
looked.
you think that's right, what are they doing?
I didn't go there when it was raining, but they explained to me what was going on.
But did you see the
It's-
manhole they have on the other side and it runs down my driveway? That's a mud hole that the snowplower did. And they also pushed the curb, the snowplower. Mike Simone never came to repair. He promises never did.
There are no curbs on that road.
I would suggest what Greg suggested, so file, what did you say, Greg?
A claim.
To file a claim, because then possibly more investigation can go into it. So that may be your next option.
He went. I mean,
You
come
could do
on.
it now. I'm not right now, because everything is closed.
The fall is here, when
Yeah,
they
you
gonna
file,
do
you
it?
file it with
With
the
the town
clerk,
clerk.
with the town clerk. Yeah, that's what I mean,
No.
I can't
No,
really
I'm
suggest it.
sorry, I
but
don't
that's-
swallow
that's
this,
what-
no, no.
Yeah.
Promise, also, one thing I want to tell you, town supervisor, when somebody come to your office or call, tell your employee, because that's racism, not to come to the town hall because they're gonna raise your tax.
Who told you that?
In your office, your
I don't
secretary.
know.
'Cause
I-
they're
no
gonna
one-
what?
See?
Nobody in my office would say that.
I swear to my parents' grave. Not you, that lady works with you. Also the town clerk,
I-
because that's a disgrace. You gotta tell your employee, be our
You're standing there
taxpayers.
telling us that our town clerk told you, if you come into town hall and complain, we will raise your taxes.
You're gonna
Is
raise
that
my
what you-
tax.
is
If I
that-
come over and complain, you're gonna,
Is that
I'm
what you
gonna
said? I
raise
just
your
want to
tax.
clarify what you said.
It's impossible.
Okay, so with all due respect, come in tomorrow, file a notice of claim, because honestly, we just, is that all you can do? File a notice of claim. We obviously cannot make you happy. And trust me,
We would never say.
I tried to make you happy by going out there and seeing it. Can't be done. File a notice of claim.
So when you gonna
And
take
if
care
that
of the
same
problem?
person tells you they're going to raise your taxes, tell us that.
When you gonna take care of the problem?
Mr. Pezzo, let me just say one thing. Ann is in my office, and Bella is in my office.
Yes.
Neither one of them would make that statement.
I swear to
They
my
are
parents'
professionals.
grave. I'm
They
not
are-
lying
This
to you.
conversation is over.
They would
And the
not,
town clerk.
This conversation is
eat.
over.
Yeah,
don't
I-
imply or insinuate that they
All right?
treated you that way.
I
'cause
will not
I'm in the
come over
office and
here
I
and
would-
lie and say this.
Conversation is
They
over.
think this happened.
All right, this is over now, Mr. Pezzo, for tonight, okay?
All right?
Because I feel so bad, like your frustration, I understand you're frustrated, but I really think
Make a
that the
motion
next
to
step
adjourn.
would be to go see the
Mike,
the
did you
clerk.
want to speak or no? Anybody else want, no, Mike
Because I
Celestino.
feel bad what you're going
Okay.
through.
This
All right,
is
Mr.,
ridiculous.
we're going to adjourn the meeting. I need a,
Ridiculous.
I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved?
Okay, so moved by Councilwoman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone. Be well. We'll see you next Wednesday for a town board voting meeting.